All right, fourth grade, it is our flipped Buchanan PLC for November 8th through the 12th. I want to remind you that it is super important that you are all together as you watch this video and do some of our reflective work. As always, we have our norms. Even though we are not physically all together, it is still important that we remain on task during this time. We have good intentions as we look through our data, that we are present, and of course, we operate with a growth mindset. Our process, as we go through PLCs, any kind of assessment data at Buchanan, this is our kind of four-step process. The first one is looking at our strengths. What is the strengths that we see in our individual class data? What is the strengths that we see grade-wide? And we're going to share that out together, the strengths that we see. Then we're going to look at the misconceptions. What are the gaps that we're still seeing in our data? What are the weaknesses that we see? And the inferences. Why do we see some of these strengths? Why are these gaps or these weaknesses still here? And then finally, strategy alignment. Strategy alignment is the big piece that you are going to focus on when you still see gaps present or weaknesses present in your student data. What are we going to do in class during instructional time to address these gaps? What are the concrete things that we are going to incorporate into our lessons to help our students grow, improve, and eventually meet mastery? So as a team, you're going to be focusing on your Unit 2A math post-assessment because you pushed off your ELA post-assessment until December. And so right now, your assessment data that you're going to be looking at is Unit 2A math post-assessment. Of course, please, since we're departmentalized, have some conversations together about some of the common formative assessments that you have been giving in ELA, science, and social studies as well, so that all of us are on the same page with student data. But what you're going to be turning into us is specific to Unit 2A math post-assessment. So you'll see on this page that there is a section for ELA and for math. Since you are just doing your math assessment for right now, you'll fill out the bottom portion. You'll plug in the teacher name, the math pre-assessment average, the math post-assessment average, the number of students who have met mastery overall, 80% or above, and then the number of students who have met near mastery overall, 50% or above. After this, together, you are going to fill out one of these documents as a grade level team. And you're going to look through the math post-assessment that you have administered by standard, and you are going to look for the strengths. What do we see that our students are grasping? Where are we seeing success with each standard? And then you're going to look at the misconceptions. Which standards or portions of the standards do we see gaps in? Where are our weaknesses still? And then you're going to look at the inferences. Why do we have those? Why do we think our kids are excelling in these areas or these specific standards? Why do we think that our students still have gaps or weaknesses in these specific standards or concepts? And then finally, at the bottom, you're going to fill out strategy alignment. This is a post-assessment. So it's a little bit different than if we were to give a pre-assessment. We would, when we talk about strategy alignment, we talk about all of the different pieces that we need to make sure that we have in our lesson plans over the course of the next few weeks before the post-assessment. But since this is post-assessment data, and the gaps and the weaknesses that we still see, we now have to get a little bit more creative. How are we going to bring in these strategies into the next unit? How are we going to group standards together? How are we going to maybe even cross-curricularly plan to help our students address some of the gaps that they're still having from Unit 2A in math? How are we going to be able to incorporate those while still moving forward into the next unit? So this takes a little bit of juggling, but it also takes a whole grade level team coming together to talk about how are we going to continue to incorporate the strategies that our kids need while we still continue with grade level content into the next unit. So you're going to fill out both of these documents. The first document with your pre and post assessment average data, and then this assessment reflective work going over the components of our PLC strengths, misconceptions, inferences, and strategy alignment. And then you're going to turn it into myself, Trina, and Stacy and I before the end of the week. Thanks so much.